Greetings Metalheads, George here from No Nonsense Metal Reviews, and I am very excited to say that I'm here today to take you through the No Nonsense Metal Reviews top 15 albums of 2025. Yes, it's that time of year. We will see social media, or just the internet at large, flooded with the best or top albums of the year lists. There will be countless. And of course, they will all be very different. There'll be some similar titles appearing in different lists, but it's all a bit of fun. But it only feels like 5 minutes ago that I was going through the top 15 albums of 2024. It's been another very busy year in general, but of course in the metal world, we've seen so many incredible albums coming out this year. More than I've actually been able to keep up with. More than most music fans can keep up with. After all, there really is only a certain amount of time in the day and money in your bank. So, given the resources and time available, I have compiled my top 15 albums of 2025. I always feel that a list of top 10 is just never enough. There's been so many great albums this year. There's even albums that have come from great bands that I love that I haven't yet heard. Shamefully, like I say, only so much time and money, right? But 20 albums is too many for a top list, in my opinion. So we're going, once again, with 15. Now, do bear in mind, this list, just like any other list that you see or read on any other site, YouTube, whatever, it will all be based on individual opinion. So this list is based entirely on my opinion. It's the No Nonsense Metal Reviews top 15 albums of 2025. I'm sure there's a lot of albums we can all agree are absolutely well deserving of a spot in this list, and there will be some that you might feel absolutely don't. Hey, that's fine. That's what opinion and individuality is all about. So bear in mind, this is all entirely in my opinion. So feel free to share your list. Feel free to share your thoughts on mine. But hey, let's keep this civil. Let's keep this PG. So without further delay, let's kick off with number 15. I will also say this list has been very difficult, very challenging to put together. Really challenging putting it in the order of preference. But even at number 15, we've got a really, really brilliant album. And actually, it's a bit of a late arrival to my list. It is, in fact, the latest album, I believe it's A Spiral in the pronunciation, from Dutch symphonic heavyweights, the mighty Epica. Epica, fantastic band. I believe that this is album number 9 from the band, full length number 9, and they are a great band. They're a heavy symphonic band, but of course they have the incredible vocals of Simone Simmons at the forefront there. She's a great singer. She has an incredible voice, but the whole band is tight. They're a solid, heavy unit. This album, A Spiral, I feel that this is a really, really heavy album. Only actually picked it up not too long ago. It came out earlier in 2025, but this is a really dark, really heavy album, and it packs some absolutely incredible material. In particular, the first sort of 3 or 4 tracks with content such as Arcana, Darkness Dies in Light, and Obsidian Heart, and of course Fight to Survive is another brilliant one. This is brilliant. This is a real symphonic metallic punch in the face, layered with beautiful vocals, really powerful vocals, some great atmospherics, a really, really strong album. I'd love to have placed it higher in the list, but as I say, still really getting to grips with it. But testament to A Spiral and the brilliant Epica, it's going in at number 15. It just managed to claw its way into the list there. So Epica, A Spiral, number 15. Number 14, this band has just hit the headlines again for other reasons, but Arch Enemy, a sort of multinational melodic death metal juggernaut, released another absolute belter of an album this year. We have Blood Dynasty, absolutely incredible album. Of course, Arch Enemy have, like I say, just hit the headlines once again because their very talented front lady has just left the band. So Alyssa has left the fold after 4 albums. I know that there's so many reviews, so many articles talking about that right now, so I'm not going to comment on that too much, but this album is brilliant. Unfortunately, I didn't really get it too close to when it actually came out because it was really quite pricey. It's recently dropped in price. You can pick it up for about $8.99, but regardless of the price, it's a really strong album. I wouldn't say that it's stronger than the previous album, Deceivers, because that was a monster of an album. But Blood Dynasty, it sounds like Arch Enemy. Amazing vocals. You know, in Amot, you've got a hell of a guitarist there. The whole band is really tight. This is really strong melodic death metal. It's a really great Arch Enemy album. Particular highlights here, though, and I would say that there are many, but March of the Miscreants is a beast. A Million Suns is another one that I absolutely love on this album. The title track is killer. There is a cover track, Paper Tiger. The Pendulum is another brilliant one. So it's a really strong album. It's 40 minutes plus, I think, of just brilliant, strong, melodic death metal. Arch Enemy are a really reliable band, and Blood Dynasty, it delivers. So number 14, Arch Enemy with Blood Dynasty. Okay, number 13, an album that came out much earlier this year, and I'm still really thoroughly enjoying. I talked about this one not that long ago, and they are a band that I absolutely love. We've got Gravedigger, German heavy metal machine, with the brilliant Bone Collector. Great cover there as well. So this album sees Gravedigger very much step into the more, I guess, revisionist, heavy metal, modern take on good old heavy metal, basically. They've kind of moved away from the power metal leaning stuff that they were doing for a long time. This album is a lot less kind of grand and epic, but Bone Collector is really up there. It's a freaking strong heavy metal album. Sees good old Chris Bolton-Dahl and company. Bit of a revitalised new lineup they've got going on now. A few changes over the years, but this album's really strong. It's a really, really strong album. If you love the more recent albums that we've had from bands like the Mighty Saxon, then you're certainly going to enjoy Gravedigger and Bone Collector. Particular highlights, The Rich, the Poor, the Dying is brilliant. The Devil's Serenade is a killer number. Killing is My Pleasure. Graveyard Kings. But it's just start to finish Teutonic heavy metal. It's great stuff. Absolutely brilliant. I'd strongly recommend it for any good old traditional headbanger. If you like I say, modern Saxon, Blitzkrieg, you're going to dig the mighty Gravedigger with Bone Collector. Another brilliant one. So that's at number 13. Number 12 then, we have another album that came out a bit earlier this year. Still really loving it though. Love this band. They are really seriously underrated in my opinion. The incredible Benediction from here in the UK. So they're a British band. This is Ravage of Empires. So this is the second album following the return of the brilliant Dave Ingram on vocals. Good cover there, strong cover. Following on from the equally brilliant Scriptures. Really did love that one. This one it's a heavy old school death metal album. Love Benediction. They really have actually been quite consistent over their career. I know they've had long periods of inactivity and changes here and there. Some moments are far more kind of grind infused. Some are much more kind of good old death metal, traditional old school death metal. Some of them are almost a little bit, I don't know, a little bit murkier, dirgier, Death Doom sort of territory. But you know what? Benediction are a really solid band. They sound great here. I actually personally think that Ravage of Empires packs some really quite thrashy moments. Certainly on the opening couple of tracks there, the Carrion Harvest and Beyond the Veil of the Grey Mare, two brilliant tracks, really solid tracks. They're really ripping. You know, it kind of brings like old school Slayer to mind. But we've got some brilliant stuff. Deviant Spine, Engines of War, Crawling Over Corpses. This is one heck of an album. It is a ripper. Definitely one to check out if you love your old school, heavyweight death metal. Freaking great stuff. So the Mighty Benediction with Ravage of Empires, clocking in at number 12. Number 11 then, again, it was released much earlier in 2025, but this album is from a very important band to me, certainly. We're talking the incredible Whitechapel, Deathcore. Deathcore is breaching the list here, and I make no apologies for it, with Hymns in Dissonance. Whitechapel, a really important band to me. They were very fundamental in getting me into very extreme sort of brutal death metal, deathcore, and just death metal in general, I suppose, when I was much, much younger, with albums like A New Era of Corruption and The Somatic Defilement, of course, their brilliant second album as well. But they are a band that have undergone some changes, but they really have withstood the test of time. You know, they released some albums that were a little bit different. You know, they tried to incorporate clean vocals, and they did it really well. The Valley and Kin, really good albums, but really quite different. Hymns in Dissonance sees them go right back to the brutal sound and style of their earlier years, their earlier catalogue. And it really works, because it doesn't sound like they're just trying to recreate what they did decades ago, certainly well over a decade ago. It actually just sounds like they're moving with the times, but they are unapologetically freaking heavy. There's no cleans here. Phil Bozeman rather, is an absolute vocal beast. He is an absolute monster. He is one of the most extreme vocalists I've ever heard. And on Hymns, he just sounds incredible. But talk about the breakdowns. The weight of some of these breakdowns is just colossal. It really is. Prisoner 666 just annihilates you right from the off there. The title track is incredible. A Visceral Wretch, Hate, Cult Ritual is brilliant. Bedlam, Mammoth God. What an album. You know, I know that some death metal fans, just some metal fans, are absolutely disgusted by the concept of deathcore. Get over it, maybe. This album is an absolute monster, and it is just one of the best Whitechapel albums for a very, very, very long time. Hence why it is clocking in for me at number 11. And I think that's actually their 9th album overall. So, number 10 then. Okay, now this one, haven't really talked about this album enough, but I have talked about Revocation here on the channel very recently. And at number 10, their new album, New Gods, New Masters, is a great album. This is a really strong album. I wish that I'd actually done a review about it at the time of its release. But it is such a good album. It is an absolute beast. Great cover. Excellent stuff there. So this album, again, I think it might be album number 9 from the band. It's just red hot. It's absolutely red hot. If you're not familiar with Revocation, they're a US technical progressive death metal band. I talked about them as a band you need to hear earlier on this year, or certainly within 2025. And this album, I feel, is easily one of their best for years. It is so accomplished. They are such a great band. They really do manage to fuse brutal kind of death metal and just infuse it with sublime technicality, amazing like guitar wizardry and that kind of technical flair there. Absolutely brilliant. And then some of it's very progressive as well. And they've got a few guest features here which really kind of add to the attraction. We've got Johnny Davey on one of the latter tracks there. But we've got some killer tracks here. The title track is brilliant. Sarcophagi of the Soul is incredible. Dystopian Vermin. The All-Seeing. Data Corpse. It's just great. It's a great one. It's a real mental workout as much as it is a neck workout. And frontman David Davidson is brilliant, fantastic player, guitarist, and great vocalist as well. An absolute monster. A fantastic, fantastic album. So Revocation in at number 10 with the brilliant New Gods, New Masters. Okay, so now at number 9 we have a legendary and truly legendary Swedish death metal band, Unleashed, with their brilliant new album Fire Upon Your Lands. Again, I didn't actually get this album at the time of release. It was very pricey, but it was worth the wait because Unleashed are such a consistent band. They really are. I love Unleashed. Got all the albums. In fact, some of their albums I have on CD, vinyl, and tape. They are such a great band. They're so reliable, so consistent, and that is very true for the new album, Fire Upon Your Lands. Great stuff. They're still following the theme, the storyline of the White Christ, and sticking very much with legend, myth and legend as well in there, and warfare, conflict. It's just great stuff. Absolutely brilliant. These really nice digipacks that you get of their more recent albums, absolutely incredible. Napalm Records release. But that aside, if you're looking for evidence of awesome old school death metal, although I would say, although they're Swedish, old school Swedish death metal is certainly a fair tag to give them. They do really have their own unique sound. You listen to like Dawn of the Nine or Hunt for White Christ. Even their earlier albums, you know, Where No Life Dwells or Shadows in the Deep, absolutely incredible. They've got their own signature sound, and that really does come from Johnny and Company. So we've got Left for Dead, A Toast to the Fallen, War Comes Again, Loyal to the End, and probably the highlight, Hold Your Hammers High. Absolute beast. A proper, heavy, good old school death metal album from the mighty Unleashed. So that is in at number 9 there. So this is where it does get a little bit more tricky, I have to say. We're getting further down the list here, but number 8 is another really important band for me. A band that certainly when I was getting into discovering thrash metal and death metal, and groove metal as well, was really fundamental in that. And I still love them to bits. They're a great band. The mighty Soulfly with their new album, Chama. I think this is the 13th album from the band in total. Max Cavalera. What a legend. You know, there are certain names within the music world or within the metal world that just, you instantly know what you're going to get, really. You're going to get tribal infused, thrashing, death, groove metal. And Max he's just delivered time and time again. Of course, he's former member of Sepultura, there for the first run of legendary classic albums, before going off and doing his own thing with Soulfly. Soulfly has had a pretty interesting career. If you look at their catalogue, from the very sort of new metal, groove metal, earlier albums, through to some really almost death metal albums, death thrash albums, Max he's always been doing stuff. Not even outside of Soulfly. He's been off, doing Nail Bomb or Go Ahead and Die and Kill or Be Killed. One of the busiest guys in metal, but Chama is absolutely freaking excellent. You know, Soulfly just deliver time and time again, and they really have on some of their latter albums, Archangel, Rituals, for example, and the brilliant Totem, their last album. But this, I feel it tops those albums, definitely. So much groove. It's really tribal, really groovy. It's really thrashing though. Some killer moments like Storm the Gates, Nihilist, Black Hole Scum, Always Was, Always Will Be, and the brilliant Chama. Incredible. I love this band, and this album is one of the best Soulfly albums in years. Max and the gang on very, very fine form, absolutely delivering the freaking goods here. Chama at number 8 from mighty Soulfly. So now, number 7, Again, a bit of a later entry. Didn't get it at the time, owing to price. Got it a few weeks ago, months ago, whatever it is now. Time flies, right? But I'm really hooked on this album. Polish Heretics, Behemoth with The Shit of God. So this is clocking in at number 7 for me, and with good reason. It is an incredible album. And actually, what was weird is that I listened to some of the singles when they came out, and I think almost out of the album context, I wasn't necessarily overwhelmed. It wasn't particularly earth-shattering, but actually, in the context of the album, with the atmosphere, with the whole package there, wow, this is such a good album. Behemoth, they're one of my favourite bands. I adore Behemoth. So yeah, I'm biased, but this album is so good. It's a really heavy album. And I think some of the latter Behemoth albums have been really heavy, kind of death metal straying rather than good old raw black metal like they were in their early years. But tracks like The Shadow Elite, Sowing Salt, Luciferion, To Drown the Sun in Wine, O Venus Come, and the brilliant Augur, the Dread Vultures. Oh, it's just killer stuff. So good. Nurgle, what a legend. Great vocalist. He has got a very iconic voice. The guitar work is brilliant. The musicianship is brilliant. It is a really evil sounding album. I think that this is a fine continuation of a very good run of albums. Very good run of albums. And sees Behemoth on absolutely fine form. So number 7, we've got The Shit of God from those evil, evil Polish heretics, the mighty Behemoth. Okay, now we're down to number 6, and this one is another very, very fine album indeed from a band which definitely deserves a lot more coverage and a lot more respect. Warbringer with Wrath and Ruin. Well deserving of a high spot in this list. Wrath and Ruin is an incredible album. Warbringer, if you're not familiar with them, I believe they're from California. They're a US thrash metal band, but they do kind of dabble in, I guess, more like speed and heavy metal elements in there. And even at times on Wrath and Ruin, there's almost flares and flourishes of black metal. Not too dissimilar from the styles of Cradle of Filth, for example, where it's very grand and very gothic. But this album is a brilliant one. So over the years, I've been getting more and more into Warbringer. They are such a great band. Absolutely killer band. This album is brilliant because it is thrashing. It approaches some and really tackles some heavy, heavy themes. Very social and kind of tackling the culture and the society that we live in this modern, technologically obsessed age. They have an ability to shake things up and veer in totally different directions, like with the opening belter, the sword and the cross, tackling themes of the sword and the cross, for example, the church and like almost medieval lyrical themes there. A Better World is a great one. Neuromancer is killer, as is the creepy The Jackhammer. Through a Glass Darkly is one of the almost oddly like Cradle of Filth-esque tracks, certainly in that intro there. Strike from the Sky is killer, real thrashing number there. Cage of Air, again, has some sort of black metal flares to it. And we've got the brilliant The Last of My Kind. It's a short and sweet, relatively short and sweet, ripping album. Absolutely brilliant. Tons of killer riffs, great vocals, blasting drums. The whole thing is just, it's thrash. It's thrashing stuff. Warbringer, Wrath and Ruin, a great band. If you've not come across them, check them out. Freaking killer band. And number 6, Wrath and Ruin. Just mentioned this band, and again, with very good reason. In at number 5, Cradle of Filth. I love Cradle of Filth, and the Screaming of the Valkyries deserves its number 5 spot for a reason. Because it's It's freaking awesome. It's one of the best Cradle albums for a few years, I would say. No discredit to the brilliant Existence is Futile or Cryptoriana. Those are great albums, but this one is particularly strong, I feel. It's just start to finish Cradle of Filth. You know, it's symphonic, gothic, black metal, but it packs some absolutely brilliant numbers here. To Live Deliciously is incredible. It's so sinister. It's a really heavy number. You know, it's Danny Filth with his unique, inhuman vocals, his shrieks that are absolutely cutting, and his more like raspy approach there. Absolutely brilliant. Demagoguery is another absolutely superb number. We've got White Hellebore, which is probably my highlight favourite track from the album. You Are My Nautilus. Exsanguine Draculae, whatever. Just killer stuff. Absolutely Cradle of Filth. Gothic, symphonic black metal, and this, I love it. Absolutely delivers. From Suffolk here in the UK, the mighty Cradle of Filth. Number 5 rather, with the brilliant Screaming of the Valkyries. So I will say my top 4 albums have been rotating. They've been switching places pretty consistently over the last couple of months that this list has been in formation, but I'm just going to go with it. So number 4, we're going with the absolutely incredible new album. I believe it's album number 15, surprisingly, from the band. Testament with Parabellum. Now this album, I really wanted to place it higher, but there's just a couple of other albums I've just been so hooked on this year. But Testament, I love Testament. Saw them live for the very first time in Wiesbaden, Germany, actually, October of this year, and they're an incredible band. I've loved Testament for many, 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 many moons. Parabellum is another absolute stormer from this band. You know, they've been on a fine run as well over the last couple of decades, or since their return from hiatus, or breakup more accurately. Times of Creation, Brotherhood of the Snake, Dark Roots of the Earth, great albums. Parabellum, I feel like it almost tops them. It's just an absolute monster of an album from an incredible band. The lineup here is brilliant. It's the first album to feature Chris Dovas on drums, and he is a beast behind the kit. But you know, what an excellent lineup. Chuck Billy, legend, one of the best extreme metal vocalists out there. He can do it all. Thrash vocals, death growls, clean singing. Very talented man. Alongside Alex and Eric on the guitars, absolute riff lords, and the great Steve DiGiorgio on bass. This is one hell of an album. Absolutely pulling a real curveball, a wild card with the opening track For the Love of Pain, which kind of veers from thrash through kind of black and death metal as well. Absolutely extreme. We've got the thrashing, crushing infanticide AI, the thrashing shadow people, the ballady Meant to Be, the killer High Noon and Witch Hunt, the heavy metal leanings of Nature of the Beast, right through the rest of the album. It's absolutely killer. Testament, such an incredible band. Parabellum, an absolute monster. Deserves that high spot. So at number 4, we've got Testament with Parabellum. So we're sticking with thrash for number 3. And this album, again, it's one of the best from the band for a while. And that's saying something, because Sodom, again, have been on fine form. Very good form. Number 3, we've got Sodom with The Arsonist. Now, this is one hell of a cover, that's for sure. And actually, I picked this up in the box set, special sort of deluxe box set version. This is so good. This is just basically Sodom. If you're a Sodom fan, you say The Arsonist is another Sodom album, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get fast, thrashing, kind of speed metal. Fast and loose. You know, there is a I guess, a strong nod to the likes of Motorhead and Venom in that kind of fast and loose, very bass heavy thrash from the mighty Tom Angel Ripper and company. This is just such a great album. It's just one of those albums that you're headbanging the whole time. The Battle of Harvest Moon, groovy thrashing, awesome. Trigger Discipline is fast, full throttle thrash. The Spirits That I Called, brilliant. The Witch Hunter, a nod to the late great Witch Hunter, absolutely incredible. That is a fast and loose track. Gun Without Groom, Tepophobia, Twilight Void, absolutely incredible. Obliteration of the Aeons and Return to God in Parts, monster album, absolutely love it. And Sodom really have been on a great run with their more recent albums, incredible. And The Arsonist, a legacy band, still producing legendary albums. So number 3, we've got Teutonic Thrash Titans. Sodom with The Arsonist. Absolutely brilliant. Love it to bits. So we're down to number 2 then. This is getting really tough, of course, but this is an album that's not been out too long. Latter 2025 from a band I've loved for many years. Easily one of the best albums the band has ever released. I think that's fair to say. And that seems to be quite a common consensus. Number 2, we've got Sabaton with Legends. So, we've gone through death and black and thrash metal here. Now we're talking Swedish power metal, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. Legends is just an absolute stunner of an album. It is utterly incredible. It is just bristling with hooks. It is so memorable. Amazing tracks. Instantly memorable from the first listen. And that's an impressive achievement, I will say. Sabaton have released so many great albums that are so brilliant over the years, right from the off. Primo Victoria, right through albums like Coat of Arms or The Art of War, and some of their latter albums, Heroes, or Corollas Rex, the incredible before that, but Heroes, Last Stand, their last couple of albums about the Great War, brilliant. But this tops them all in my opinion. The more I've been listening to it, the more I'm hooked on it, and it kicks off with some dangerously infectious tracks. Templars is a colossal number. It is stadium worthy heavy metal, and I am looking forward to hearing this band, these tracks, in all their massive bombastic glory at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham in December here in the UK. Templars, what a monster track. Hordes of Khan, that is anthemic, driving, rolling heavy metal. A Tiger Among Dragons is just absolutely soaring. Freaking can't help but sing along to that. Crossing the Rubicon is a stomping metal machine. I Emperor, Made of Steel, Impaler, Lightning at the Gates, The Duelist, The Cycle of Songs, and Till Seeger. Start to finish, absolutely brilliant. This is a stunning album. The whole package is brilliant. I was really, really excited for this one, and it has lived up to expectations. Sabaton, The Mighty, with Legends at number 2. So that does leave only one album. My number 1 album of the year, and I'm sure this will be absolutely polarising across the heavy music world. Some people will love this band, some people detest them. I have really deeply fallen in love with this band again through this album. I've been a fan of theirs since the very early days, since the first album, but did step away from Swedish. What are they? Are they occult rockers? Are they heavy metal? Are they just a great freaking band? Whatever. Extremely difficult to pigeonhole, let's just say. The Mighty Ghost. I stepped away from the band after sort of Meliora, kind of missed out on Prequel and to a large extent Impera, but picked them up again with Skeletor and I'm there. I'm totally hooked on this album, totally hooked on this band. They are absolutely incredible, and Skeletor is my number one, the No Nonsense Metal Reviews number one album of 2025. Up against some stiff competition, but this is the album, although this was released much earlier in 2025, this is the album that I have come back to the most this year, alongside Legends. It's just a brilliant album. I was fortunate enough to catch Ghost on their Skeletor, the initial dates here in the UK, in fact, at the Utilita Arena in Birmingham, April 2025. So I think that was coinciding with the release of this album. And hearing these songs, seeing the spectacle, it was just awe-inspiring. And actually, you know, getting a bit sentimental, it's the album that me and my wife have been listening to the most this year. It is just an absolutely brilliant number. It's a heavy album, you know, it's got that kind of heavy metal, doom metal vibe in there. It's just a brilliant album. Absolutely incredible. It kicks off with the stunning Peace Field with its incredible intro and sees Papa, Tobias Forge, delivering some of the best vocal work of Ghost's career. You know, this is album number 6 in not that long a career, really. 6 full-length albums, some live albums, tons of EPs and stuff, but it sees him on fine vocal form. Lacrima, the second track there, is absolutely stunning. That's a really heavy number. I think anyone would have a hard time disputing the fact that it's a heavy metal number. I would consider them to be heavy metal, but hey, that's just me. Satanized, another incredible track. Guiding Lights is a real, you know, pull on the heartstrings, is a real wrencher, a bit of a ballady track there. De Profundis Borealis and Cenotaph, incredible couple of tracks there. It's very evocative stuff, definitely. Cenotaph is a particular favourite there. Massilia Amore, the stomping, rocking, heavy metal number, very groovy. Marks of the Evil One, which is stunning. Umbra, which is just chilling, just so creepy, but it's so brilliant at the same time. And then the very powerful Excelsis, or Excel, closing the album in this vinyl format. Is very difficult to show off because, of course, it's very, very shiny. But a deserving album for a number one spot for me. I think it's an absolute stunner of an album. The whole album sounds superb. The kind of synths and the keys are absolutely stunning. It's got such atmosphere to it. Whereas the previous album, Impera, was very grand. It's a very bombastic album, very big, very diverse, you know, packed full of very different sounding tracks. I feel like the whole atmosphere of Skeletor it's quite dark. It's a really dark, introspective album. It's really powerful, emotive stuff. The musicianship is brilliant. The guitar work is incredible. I will say there's tons of killer riffs here. I love the prominence of the bass as well, and the drumming is absolutely crushing. You know, it's great stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. And of course, that mystical frontman, Papa, I think it's Papa V Perpetua now. What an absolutely stunning vocalist Papa is, or Tobias. Absolutely brilliant frontman, enigmatic, charismatic character, you know. But the whole lyrical themes, it's just brilliant. It really works. It's still an evil sounding album from an evil sounding band. Call them heavy metal, call them rock, call them whatever you want. Ghost are a great band, and Skeletor is number one for me. No Nonsense Metal Reviews, number one album of 2025. So, of course, that's the top 15. And just to run through again, just to remind, it's been a while. Number 15, we had Epica with A Spiral. Number 14, we have Arch Enemy with Blood Dynasty. Number 13, we have Gravedigger with Bone Collector. Number 12, Benediction with Ravage of Empires. And we've got number 11, Whitechapel with Hymns in Dissonance, I should say. 10, we've got Revocation, New Gods, New Masters. Number 9, Unleashed, Fire Upon Your Lands. Number 8, Soulfly with Chummer. Number 7, Behemoth with The Shit of God. Then we've got, is it number 6 we're up to now? Yeah, number 6, Warbringer, Wrath and Ruin. And we've got Cradle of Filth at number 5 with The Screaming of the Valkyries. Number 4, Testament with Parabellum. Number 3, we have Sodom with The Arsonist. Number 2, we have Sabaton with Legends. And number 1 for me, Skeletor from Ghost. Love it. So, of course, there are runners-up. Now, I will mention a few bands that have released brilliant albums this year, which I've only just picked up, so they didn't quite have a chance of getting into the list. The incredible new album, I Feel the Ever Black Growing, Festering Within Me from Lorna Shore, symphonic black and death metal juggernaut, deathcore. They're absolutely brilliant band, but they've really pulled out an absolute monster with their new album there. Sadly, only just picked it up, so didn't quite make the list. If you're looking for some comical but excellent brutal death metal, grinding stuff, we've got Coffin Feeder with Big Trouble, which is a brilliant one. Only just got hold of that. And the latest album from Avantasia, we've got Here Be Dragons. Sadly, only just managed to pick that one up. It's a great album. I feel like if I'd got it earlier on in the year, probably would have earned a place in the top albums list. But there are some other albums that I still haven't yet heard in full and got into. The new album from Catatonia, for example, Elevite, and the new album from Paradise Lost. Still yet to pick up a copy, but I've listened to bits and pieces of them online and have been very impressed. So great stuff from those bands. And also the new album from Amorphis as well. Only literally just got a copy of that, sadly. But there we have it, my friends. That is the top 15 albums, the No Nonsense Metal Reviews top 15 albums of 2025. Hope you've enjoyed that run through. So what are your thoughts on my list, and what are your lists? What are your top albums of 2025? Interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others, as always. But my friends, hope you've enjoyed it. Let's keep this PG, keep the conversation going though. Hope you have a great rest of 2025, and let's hope for another incredible metal heavy year in 2026. Happy holidays, enjoy the season, celebrate, get the beers in, put the tunes on loud, enjoy. Thanks again, my friends. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. The support is very much appreciated. Thanks again for watching. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Stay freaking heavy.